Welcome back, everybody, to Eat What You Grow. This is the next episode in the series, and you may have seen garlic scapes at the farmer's market or even curling out of your garden. But what do you do with them? Today, we're going to harvest some garlic scapes and make garlic scape pesto. And if you've never had it, it's probably one of the best pestos that I've ever tasted. So let's get into it. So what are garlic scapes? They are these flower stalks that come up from the garlic bulb that's in the ground. They usually, and it's hardneck. This only happens with hardneck garlic. Um, and it's just its way. As soon as the soil warms up in the spring, the bulb thinks it's time to reproduce. So it shoots up the stalk. This will eventually form into a flower. But if you're growing garlic for the bulb, which most of us are, one of the routine tasks that you're going to have to do in the garden is cut these off, because as soon as this thing shoots up, it takes up energy, and the bulb is going to direct all energy to this flower stalk, which is what we want to avoid. If you don't cut them, your garlic bulbs will be smaller, potentially less flavorful, and we can eat these, and they're awesome. If you haven't done it before, they're so good. So all you have to do is wait for it to curl onto itself, kind of like this, and then get your kitchen scissors or garden shears or whatever it is, and then go down all the way as far as you can go and just snip it. And then I'll be making garlic scape pesto in a few minutes, which is probably one of the best one of the best things that you can make with this. I mean, you can eat it you can make pesto with it. You can chop it up and stir fry these, and they're like a milder garlic flavor. It's probably dependent on the type of garlic that you're growing. Mine is the Russian red. It's very strong. So it's probably why my garlic scape pesto is also pretty strong. But you can, put it into a spread, mix it with butter, like chop it really fine, use it as a spread on sandwiches. It's super versatile, and it's really tasty. And it's a free crop. I mean, you're growing the garlic anyway. Why wouldn't you use this and eat these as well? Because they're so good. All right, I'm going to harvest the rest of them. The recipe calls for about 4 or 5, which I have in this bed here. So I'm just going to keep harvesting them, and I'll meet you back in the kitchen. We're back in the kitchen to make our garlic scape pesto. So the recipe calls for 1/3 of a cup olive oil, or however much you'll need to make it into a nice puree. We'll just do this based on how things are going. We need our scapes, which I've got here. And it's about 6 to 8. It's really going to depend on the size of your scapes. It's supposed to be, once we chop them up, about 1/2 cup, roughly. So we have our scapes. We need basil and parsley. Basil was 1/3 of a cup, or half a cup basil, 1/4 cup parsley. But again, whichever you prefer, like you can adjust it to your taste, to your liking. We need 1/3 of a cup chopped walnuts, 1/2 cup Parmesan. Use the good stuff, guys. This is what makes the difference. Juice of 1/2 lemon, and we basically put everything in a food processor. I'm using the little bowl. You know how you can have the little bowl inside. We don't need for one recipe. You don't need the big one. You can use a blender if you don't have a food processor. I don't use a food processor very often, but I find for pesto, there's like a handful of things where it makes sense to use it. Or if you have a blender, you can totally use that too. Salt and pepper to taste. And that's pretty much it. So what I'm going to start with, I'm just going to prepare the herbs. Put that over there. And then we'll chop up our garlic scapes. And I was reading up to see what part of the scape, let me show you what I'm talking about. So this is your scape, and there's this flower pod, this little bud at the end of it. And the whole thing is edible. You can even eat the bud. It's fine. It's not going to harm you. This whole thing is edible, but the tip might be a little bit fibrous, and this pod. And I've never had one before, so it's actually, while I'm chopping them up, I was going to give one a try just to see what it tastes like. You would think it's going to taste garlicky, but we'll see. So let me get started. And you basically put everything, all the ingredients, minus the lemon juice and the olive oil into the food processor, give it a whiz, give it a whir, and then gradually add the liquids in until you get the right consistency. So let me get all my basil grouped up. A friend of mine actually suggested, I never used to do anything with the garlic scapes. I used to just cut them off and toss them. I know, blasphemy, right? But one of my colleagues had suggested you should try garlic scape pesto. That was several years ago. And ever since then, it's like one of the things we look forward to in the spring while we're waiting for the garlic bulbs to be ready for harvesting. And just that mid-June, for us it's mid-June. I'm gardening in Nova Scotia, zone 6A, 6B, 6A, 6 for sure. And they come up at around mid-June. And then typically harvesting garlic comes up shortly after that. Now, this doesn't have to be a super good chop because it's going in here and it's going to do the rest of it. So let me just, and we like a lot of basil, so we're going to pop that in there. Plop that in. And my colleague had suggested to try it. And ever since then, we've been looking forward to it every year. All right, let's do the same for parsley. You could technically put the stems in if you wanted to. I'm not going to. And this is just like a quick chop. Now your regular pesto, like with your classic pesto, normally you would add, basil, garlic, pine nuts. But this is taking the place, these garlic scapes are taking the place of the garlic, right? So we don't need to add extra garlic because we're going to have plenty. And you guys, it's pungent. A little goes a long way. All right, so we're going to chop these. This one I already chopped the bud off. But what we're going to do, and you just have to chop it roughly. I do it into like 1-inch pieces because it's going to go in here. It'll get chopped finer once we do that. So like I'm just chopping it into like little chunks like this. And we're going to pop these in. I'm going to do them all. And then I'll keep one of the flowers and we'll taste one together. It'll be fun. I just take that off. And I've never felt that the bottom is fibrous. So I usually keep it and include it into the recipe. And like you can make so many things with it. You can, just pop it into a blender or whatnot with butter and mix it up, and it makes a super nice spread. I like it for pesto. You can just chop up these pieces, same like I'm chopping now, into like 1-inch pieces or even less, even finer than that, and just put it in a stir fry with a bunch of other vegetables. It just adds like a mild garlic flavor, which is amazing. It's really good. And like the part that I love about it is that we're growing garlic anyway. And this is like a byproduct of that. And it's like it's like a bonus crop. It's so good. All right, 2 left. We'll do these ones together. All right. Just plop these in. So that's in there. What I'm going to do, I'm going to add the nuts. We're going to add the cheese. Yeah, the cheese, make sure you get the good stuff and grate it, because the cheese is all the difference. And I'm using walnuts, but you can use pine nuts, you can use almonds even, any nut that you have. And you know what? Making different variations would probably be really good. Okay, that's all in there. Before we add the liquid, we're going to close this up and we're going to pulse it just a few times, and then we're going to start adding the liquid. So pardon the noise. Okay, now what I'm going to do, oh my God, that smells so good, is let's do the lemon first. Get these out of the way. I'm going to keep these because we're going to try one of these little buds in a second. Get the lemon. I'm going to cut this in half. And I always put the lemon in here first because there's pits and I want to strain it before I put it in there. So I'm going to use my trusty citrus thing. I love this tool. It's the best thing ever. It's easier on the hands when you're trying to squeeze a lemon. Sometimes it's tougher if they're a little bit more firm. And I find that this really makes the job easier. I'm not seeing a lot of pits in here. Let's see. All right, I'll keep the other half either for later or we're going to add it in. Are there any pits in here? I don't see them, but this one I'll just pour in like this. Make sure it gets in there. Keep that for later. Okay, I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna mix this up just to give it a. Okay, and then we're gonna do the oil. Now the oil, just so it doesn't go flying, I'm just gonna drizzle it in as I go while it's going, and then we'll see. Once it gets to the consistency that you like, just stop. And it's supposed to be about 1/3 of a cup. I'm not even going to measure it. I'm just going to eyeball it. Here we go. And you like it, you can get it into like a full-on puree, but I like it to have like a little bit of chunkiness, because then when we're going to be eating it with pasta, and just having those little bits of all the things, just it looks great and it tastes really good, little pops of flavor. This won't take too long. Bear with me, guys. Okay, and now I'm going to scrape down the sides. I have my spatula. I do not. Just use the little one. All right, let's see what it looks like. Oh, it looks so good. All right, hold on. Let me get this out of the way. Do I need this anymore? Yes, I do. Put that there. Put that there. All right. And just to get it, oh, you guys, look. This might actually be good in this consistency here. Oh my goodness, this looks so good. It smells so good. The lemon and the garlic. I think this is good the way it is. Now I'm just going to taste it to see if it needs more lemon. No, it's good. But what I will add is salt and pepper. So salt is here. Just going to add a little bit, because Parmesan is salty already. So I'm just going to add like a little bit, and then pepper. And then I'll give it one last little whir to mix everything up. And then that's it. It's the easiest thing. And this is going to last. I don't need any more oil. I will put this on just to prevent splattering. All right, that's it. Now, I'm going to put this in just a small container. And this isn't like one recipe, right? This is going to last for a while. Let me go grab a container real quick. You can make a double batch. You can make, put it in the freezer, put it in the fridge. We're going to keep it in the fridge because we're going to go through this fairly quickly. And then I still have some more garlic scapes that are just coming up but haven't curled yet. So I'm probably going to make several of these and just put them in these little containers. I just use these little small containers that can go in the freezer, and pop them in the fridge. This one's going to go in the fridge. We're going to start working on this one today, and it'll last up to like 2 weeks easily. It's probably not going to last that long because we're going to eat it really quickly. But that's what we're going to do, and we're going to have it with pasta. But you can spread this as a sandwich lightly, because it's very strong. If you like the taste of garlic, by all means, but it's a very pungent, a very strong pesto. All right, before I get that into this container, we're going to make the pasta later, but I wanted to eat one of these and see what it is. So this is the bud. This is the top of the bloom. I want to see what it looks like, what it tastes like, because I'm going to cut it in half if I can, just to see what the inside looks like. Okay, so the inside, it just looks like the rest of the stalk, really. Oh, and it smells mild garlic. It smells really green, like grassy garlic. Oh, it's mild. It's nice. It actually tastes pretty good. It's a little, not chewy. I guess fibrous might be the word, but it's totally edible. It tastes really good. All right, let me get this into the container, and then we're going to make some pasta. All right, so I've done a little bit of a cleanup, and I wanted to show you how much that recipe made. So it's basically one little container like that, plus this is going to go in the fridge, and this we're probably going to use for, and I wanted to show you what this actually looks like up close, because it looks so good. Look how good this looks. Oh my goodness, it smells so good. Ooh. And this is probably the amount, maybe a little bit more, that we're going to toss in with a couple of bowls of pasta. But that's pretty much it. So let me get the pasta on, and then we'll see what it looks like at the end. Okay, my pasta's ready. I'm going to strain it, and we'll mix it up. And I'll show you what this will look like. Pardon the noise. And we probably have this, several times over the course of the summer, because it's so good. Whoop, noodle. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this extra, and I kept some extra because my container was too full. So I just put some extra in here. Now I'm going to start with like 1 spoon. You know what? Maybe I'll just do two tablespoons, maybe. And then I prefer to mix it in the bowls as opposed to in the pot, because when you mix it in a pot, any kind of pesto, I find that you leave half of it in the pot. So I like to do it this way and just mix it up really well. And you don't need a lot. A little goes a long way, because it's very strong in terms of garlicky, strong flavor. Okay, and I'll prepare the other dish later. But just to get it nice and coated. All right, just put that here for now. Now let's see how it tastes. And it's cool. Like I prefer leaving it a little bit chunky, because the little chunks get stuck in all the noodles, and I find it just really good. That's really good. That's really good. It's garlicky, without a doubt, but you do taste the herbs in it. You don't really taste the nuts, but it does give the texture, which is nice. And if you wanted to, when it's freshly made like this, you can toss it with pasta, use it however you want. If you store it in the fridge, once you take it out, I put it on. Sometimes I'll just add a little bit of olive oil just to loosen it up a little bit. So that just keeps it a little more sauce-like, because it will stiffen a little bit in the fridge. But it's so good. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed learning what to do with those garlic scapes. As soon as I realized that, these things are edible and they're free. They're free with my garlic crop. And then I don't do very much else other than make garlic scape pesto with them, because we enjoy it a lot. And it's the first pesto of the season. Our basil's not quite big enough yet to harvest and to make pesto. But the garlic scapes are ready, so we can make pesto with that. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you give it a try.